Welcome to School's Out 80s Comedy Story Time.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of School's Out 80s Comedy Storytime. Got a really special guest to us, coming to us all the way from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Lori Jewett, say hello to everybody at School's Out 80s.
Hello, everybody. Ooh, I love your 80s accent. Your school's out. It's fun. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. I had Mr. Microphone as a kid, and it just has never left. So awesome, Lori. So glad to have you on. I can just tell from when I was on your podcast that you are going to be an easy guest to give us great stories. And that's what School's Out's, really all about. Just to have fun, hopefully find the funny, I like to say, in the whole comedy world. But can you start us off? Just think of a funny story, maybe back in grade school, middle school, high school, you know, when you're in jail, whatever works, Lori.
You know what? I never got caught. So there's that.
Oh, I
That's my
like it.
win.
I like it.
I was yeah, so I was the awkward kid, but I
Okay.
also hung out with like all the people. It was really weird. I had friends that were jocks and potheads and skaters, and one of my best friends was an artist. So I
Yeah.
kind of got to do like all of the things, but I think it was like the first day of freshman year, and I'm quirky. You can tell by my podcast studio. You can tell I'm kind of an oddball. But this girl comes up to
All
me
good.
in gym class, and I'm not athletic at all. She comes up to
Okay.
me in gym class, and she's like, I don't remember her exact words, but it was something to the effect of, "Hey, you're weird. You're my new best friend." And we continued to have antics for all 4 years, and we're still friends.
Okay.
But that was like kind of my high school. Is I attracted like all of the I don't want to say outcasts because we weren't outcasts, but just the people that wanted to have fun. So we did have. I'm trying to think of a specific story
Yeah.
from high school. I'm like, ooh, I was prepared with all my weird animal stories, but
We'll take an animal story.
yeah, no, I'm just
Whatever
thinking
you
about
want to throw out.
back then. So okay, I'll tell a story. And any of my youth group kids that are listening, I love you, and please do not be like me. But this story like plays back to real time. So we used to do kind of bad things. We would go and um take things but then return them because in our eyes they weren't that bad. So we would like take a little lawn statue from that someone had out by the road and take it overnight, and we would autograph it and put it back to see like if they ever noticed it. And
Okay.
one of them got forgotten about. And I think about 10 years ago, I was at my mama's house, and I graduated high school a lot longer than 10 years ago. I was at my mama's house, and I'm like, oh, I love that squirrel. It's like a little concrete squirrel. I'm like, that is so cute. I love it so much. And she's like, oh, and she starts telling me the story about how I gave it to her when I was in high school. And I'm like, I flipped it over, and lo and behold, it had all our little signatures on it. And I was like, oh, I'm not ever going to. I think I wound up telling her because like I get I've changed a lot, and I get really guilty when I lie, so I couldn't even, like, fib or lie. I had to tell her where the
Yeah.
stupid squirrel came from. But,
That's
you know,
funny.
it is, yeah,
My
we,
wife doesn't understand we're recording. It's okay. That's funny. Oh
yeah,
my God.
I'm trying to think of some that I can actually tell without, winding up getting myself in trouble, but,
All
yeah,
good. All good.
high
I
school was
mean, we got
weird for
something
me.
in common because, like, if you walked into my basement when I was in high school, for whatever reason, there was a yield sign, a stop sign, a this sign, a that. So you too, okay. And then we had those really cool lights that like there were the warning lights if like they had like a manhole open or something like that. And you know what I'm talking about? And
Yeah.
there were those great big yellow ones, and they were orange and yellow. And in order to get it to turn on or off, you had to put like a paper clip in it. We had those down in my basement. Honestly, I don't, for the life of me, remember personally like going around in my car and with a screwdriver and taking them off. I feel like my friends stole them and then they put them in my basement. And that's the story I'm sticking to.
Yeah. Okay. That actually like did happen because my memo,
Okay.
I lived with my memo and she never went upstairs. And so they would like stash up, but we always tried to return it because for some reason we thought that was funny and not as bad.
Yeah.
It's probably worse, honestly, like
Right.
in getting in trouble level. But yeah, those were interesting times. And somehow I
Absolutely.
wound up with a kid who's the opposite of me. And I'm so grateful that I wound up with
And
a
you have
really
one
good
daughter,
kid.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Well, okay. So I'm going to take us back to high school. Maybe this will bring up some stories from high school. And so you were telling me that you graduated, what, in the 90s, maybe from Fort Smith?
I graduated in 2001.
No worries. Okay. So you graduated 2001, Fort Smith, Arkansas high school. And I think you told me that your mascot was the Rebel. Oh,
It was
yeah.
Johnny Reb.
Okay. Okay. So so what that mascot looked like? Did he carry a gun?
Actually, I want to say they, of course, I don't know, a while back they changed it. Now they're the Mavericks. So boring, Southside Mavericks. But
Okay.
I'm trying to visualize. Ever since you asked that earlier, I'm like, what did he look like? I'm pretty sure he had like a musket thingy, but I
Yeah.
remember more that he had like the chubby cheeks and
Mhm.
the little like blue rebel hat and the outfit.
Okay.
And you can't even Google. I've tried to Google it before, and you can't even Google it anymore because they've like taken it all down everywhere. It's crazy.
Ah, all good, all good. The
But yeah, he was
Rebel.
it's interesting. I'm like, no wonder I was a bad kid.
Yeah, no
The
doubt.
the mascot was the Rebel. Come on.
So, did one of your schoolmates in high school dress up like the Rebel? So, like, you got the cheerleaders, and then you got the dude dressed up like the Rebel, or did that not happen?
Um, I don't.
You don't
I
remember?
think so. Maybe at like pep rallies or something.
Okay.
I don't remember a whole lot from that. Those last couple years
All
of high
good,
school.
all good. No worries. All good. So back in the day, Fort Smith, I mean, you guys, I mean, that's a pretty decent size area in Arkansas. Is that the biggest city in Arkansas, Fort Smith?
No. Oh no.
No?
It's growing a lot thanks to
Uh-huh.
Walmart.
Okay.
But and yeah, our like we had this strip that we used to cruise,
Yeah.
and every town has one, right? That like
Oh, yeah, yeah. I cruised the strip when I was a kid.
do kids do that anymore? I have
Um,
I have a kid
yeah,
that like likes to be around me, so she never goes off and does stuff like that. And I'm like, do they still? I don't know.
I don't know. My boys, one's 24 and the other is 21. The 24-year-old used to like go to the mall with his friends to just meet girls. Like they weren't there to shop, they weren't there to eat. They were just like cold prospecting girls. It was hilarious, I thought.
Oh,
That
that
was
is. We used to do that too. But yeah, Rogers Avenue was like, I don't know why it was the spot, but like the
yeah.
different kids had different areas that they hung out in.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
and I was kind of in my little like oddball group. We would hang out at like the Michaels parking lot because that's where like some of like the motorcycles hung out. And you could like get a ride on a motorcycle,
Yeah.
which kind of goes back to your thing of the like picking up girls at the mall. Guys
Yeah,
would bring
yeah,
their
yeah, yeah.
stomach rockets out, right? Then you had like the classic car kids hung out at Walmart. Me and my friends, we hung out at the car wash next to Taco Bell. I don't know.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, like even the way you guys hung out was like demographically based upon some kind of criteria, which I find intriguing. Like you
It's
got the
weird, right?
stoner kids, the kids that like classic cars, the this kids, the that kids. Everybody's got to like be in some kind of group, even before Facebook groups, people were getting in groups. It's funny. Um, okay. So back in the day, you're hanging out at Michael's parking lot. I imagine you're probably drinking some illegal beverages, I'm guessing. Uh, and so, any crazy stuff happen that's worthy of mentioning? Did the cops come?
And they were always there, kind of monitoring, but honestly, none of the trouble I ever got into that was probably like the best stuff that we did. I'm trying to think of the stories that, like,
Yeah, no worries.
I mean, that part of it, like, we hung out on Rogers and, made fun of everybody because everybody acts
Yeah.
stupid, and we also had, like, the guys in their big trucks that, like, yeah.
And you're playing loud music and everything, like that's the vibe.
Yeah, like, everybody had their different music and was trying to out, not out system, they use their sound systems to, like,
Yeah.
out loud each other. I don't know. I can't even, like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No
you know what I
worries.
mean?
I
Like,
get it.
basically compete across the street, and we're talking, like,
Right.
and now you go to Rogers Avenue and it's like there's no room. It's so busy. It's like it's grown up so much because of,
Oh, really?
Walmart and all of the it's not a small town anymore like it used to be.
Okay.
But yeah, we used to hang out at the River Bottoms, which were it was down by, it was at the River Bottoms. I don't know. I guess if you don't live in a small town, you don't know what river bottoms are. I really don't. It was just like, well, that's where we went, and there was sand, and we could go down there, and nobody was ever there.
That
And
sounds like
honestly,
fun.
in hindsight, it was probably private property.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
sure we
okay.
probably, we didn't think about that back then. But you had like the levee, and drive down and see, and we used to hang out down there and try and get the attention of all the barges going by. So a
Yeah.
couple times we did get the attention of the barges, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't like send somebody like, there's a bunch of wild teenagers on the side of the river, but never
The
happened.
barge
So
people, they're so focused on just doing that job,
oh
like
yeah.
they can't stop what they're doing and come over and like reprimand you guys.
Yeah.
But that's cool. So I grew up real close to the river, and I'm kind of a water guy. And I had friends of mine. We used to go. I'll just say it, drinking, and it'd be late at night, and I'm the conservative guy out of the crazy group. Like I'm the guy that like keeps the logical hat on in an illogical world. And so my buddies think it's a good idea after we've been out doing our thing all night long to go out to my buddy's river house, his parents' river house, and there's a rope swing that rope swings into the river. And you got to realize like how dangerous this is. So it's the Missouri River. The Missouri River has a huge current. I mean, it just literally floats you from my hometown down to Kansas City, Missouri. Like if you get stuck in it, you could die. And my buddies think it's a good idea to like, you know, get down to their skivvies and John, while they're doing the rope swing into the river. And you got to realize too, the bank of the river, it's not like sand, it's rocks. So like if they miss the river, Lori, they're cracking their head open on rocks. And so I had to like hold up a flashlight so that they could rope swing. And then since it was at night, I also had to tell them when to let go of the rope so that they could hit the river. But you couldn't hit the river out too far because then you get caught up in the swell and be taken away by the current. And you couldn't come in too fast because then you'd hit rock. It was like Evil Knievel off the side of a riverbank.
That's a lot of pressure for you, being like the lookout and all of that.
And drunk. Like, remember, I'm not sober. Like, come on.
So your senses are not aware. You're
But
delayed.
I'm still thinking to myself, like, this is stupid. Like, both of these guys are pretty successful. I mean, I know both of these guys are super successful in real life now. And I'm like, thank God we all survived. Like, this is just the beginning of the stupidity that I witnessed, that I was a part of in grade school, high school, middle school, college. I mean, you name it. So did you guys ever sneak alcohol into like the movie theaters back in the day?
Not into the movie theaters. We
No? Okay.
tended to like avoid people, and we went and hung out at the river bottoms. And probably that's why I didn't get in a ton of trouble, because
Yeah.
we weren't like super public about our badness.
I like the river bottoms idea though, man. That sounds pretty serene, and Arkansas is so pretty.
And see, now as an adult, I'm like, I would love to go there and just hang out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm like, oh, I feel like, but yeah, we were able to be stupid and do our dumb things. And I'm not
Right.
condoning teenagers being stupid or doing dumb things, but a lot of us do that and go through that stage. And it was kind of a safe place for us to be, just crazy. And I was actually thinking about this the other night because we were doing a fire in the backyard with my daughter and her boyfriend. I call them our
Yeah,
teenagers because,
sure.
my kid and my bonus kid. And I was thinking, Dean
Who's
said
your bonus
something.
kid? You haven't
Uh,
told me about your bonus kid.
it's just our daughter's boyfriend, and we love him.
Oh,
I
okay.
love him I love him like he's my own. But we were out there by the fire, and the kids were like, not like arguing, but bickering about like who could do the fire better. And I'm like, oh, y'all. I was the Arkansas fire queen. Everybody else
I
used
like it.
they used their like camp fuel and stuff for the fire. No, I totally. It was my like dopamine hit before I even knew what a dopamine hit was till I get the fire going without the camp fuel. And then of course all the boys would come and like squirt their camp fuel on it. And I'm like, no, build me the TP and then leave me alone. I don't need your camp
I
fuel.
like it.
But so it was just fun and dumb
Yeah.
things happened by the campfire. People jumped over it and, burned their bottoms and dumb things. But
Oh, did anybody ever have to go to the emergency room?
need to probably did. No,
Oh, okay.
no. In
That's funny.
hindsight, some people may have some scars from that, but it was
Uh-huh.
in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't. We weren't that bad at kids, but we were bad.
Yeah.
We should have like been at home playing board games with our parents, but instead we were pouring random things on a fire to see the results. I'm trying to think of some of the things that I don't know. I think
Anybody throw any fireworks into the fire? That's many times happens.
yes. And do you know what we used to do with fireworks? We used to get I don't know how we got them because
Uh-huh.
maybe we were 18 at this time. I don't know, but we used to get those the like what do you call them, mortars?
Yeah.
That did you know you
Those are
could
the
throw?
big fireworks.
Did you know you could
Mortars.
throw those in the water?
Yeah, I do know you could throw
Uh,
those in the water.
well, I know that now, but back then I'm like, oh, it's not gonna. We had like bets on is it gonna work? I'm sorry, that was actually really fun. We probably did some damage to some fish, and as much as I love
Right.
animals now, it makes me sad. But it was really pretty to like throw them in the water and watch them explode. How we had the money or were able to get those, I don't know. I don't remember that,
Oh, you
but
guys stole those. Admit it. You stole them.
no, I don't think we did.
No, they came out of somebody's garage, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. Well, we're
One of
talking
your
about.
friends' garages. You stole it within your community, so that's not a big deal. So, like, one of your friends' dads probably put on a fireworks show out at his farm or something, and you got access to the mortars.
Honestly, probably one of my friend's parents bought them for us because
Okay, well, that's even a better story.
so I'm in it. Oh no, where did it go? It was in my brain. Oh no, I had a funny story in my head and then I lost it. It'll come back.
That's okay.
We'll full
You're
circle
good.
it.
You're good.
Um,
I think you got me on a very good T-shirt idea that we could sell to the people in Fort Smith. Burn your bottom on the river bottoms,
oh, I like it.
or my bottom got burnt at the river.
If like Shopify existed back then, we
Yeah,
probably could have like made some money.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Oh, I will tell you my mama's favorite high school story, and I'm pretty sure this is in my book. And anyone that ever
Okay.
meets my mama, and the
Did your mama help raise you?
she did, yeah. So for the listeners, I lead a youth group, so I'm trying to be really careful about these stories I'm telling because I don't want my kids to think that I'm condoning anything. But
All
yeah,
good, all
so
good.
when I was 13, we moved from Fort Smith to Savannah, Georgia. My mom got a job there.
Okay.
She got her doctorate and got a job there. I hated it.
Your mom has her doctorate?
In education. Yeah, she actually just retired from Armstrong. It changed. Savannah State? No, Georgia Southern. They got bought
Wow.
out or whatever. They changed names. So they were, by the time she retired, it was Georgia Southern. But yeah, my mom got her, which is probably why I don't have a lot of funny 80s stories because my mom was working on her dissertation in college. So
All good, no worries. It's called 80s, but that's just because I'm an old guy.
But yeah, so my mama, I moved in with this is kind of sad and whatever, but I moved in with my grandparents when I was 15. I just didn't
Okay.
like Georgia. I got in with a bad crowd. I started getting in like real trouble.
Yeah.
Not
Understand.
like, hanging out at the river bottoms with my friends trouble, but like could potentially change the entire path of my life. So my granddad came and got me.
So you had the Nikki Six chapter in your life, it sounds like.
I don't know about the Nikki Six chapter, but let's
No,
go with
but do you
that.
know who Nikki Six is, though?
I do.
Yeah. Well, he had a very tattered life before becoming a rock star. Like it made his rock star life look mild.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that mine was that bad, but
No, no, no.
long crowd.
I'm
But
just making a joke. Keep going.
so now I got to research Nikki Six. But my grandparents or my granddad came and got me and moved me back.
Yeah.
And this is where it
Okay.
gets kind of sad. He picked me up in July and he died in September.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So then so I wasn't even 16 yet. He was teaching me how to drive and all when he passed away. So to this day, I
Yeah.
still can't back a trailer because he was teaching me how to pull a trailer. I grew
Yeah.
up they had a trailer manufacturing business. So he was teaching me how to pull a trailer when he died. And I cannot back a trailer to save my life because I'm like, I will never do that again. And then of course I wound up raising a horse kid and we have horse trailers. And this kid, she can back it in. She impresses men who've been pulling trailers for 50 years. They just like when she was 12 years old, she backed a trailer straight. And I'm like, yeah, it skipped a generation apparently. But anyway, so then I was with my mama who was mourning and had a teenager all by herself. So it was interesting.
So
But anyway,
from like 15 on, you were in Georgia, Savannah, Georgia?
no, that was Arkansas. So we moved to Savannah, Georgia, and I hated it. So my grandparents moved me back to Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I
Okay,
moved back
got
to
it.
Arkansas, and then granddad did. So it was just me and Mama, and um, she was done raising her kids, and then here she has this teenager by herself, and I'm still very close with her. We're still, she's still one of my absolute favorite people in the whole world. I talk to her all the time,
Aw.
but one of her favorite stories that she tells people is, and I'm gonna have to send this recording to my friend Erica because we've heard Mama tell this story. Like
Yeah.
now, anytime like we're there, last time we were in Arkansas, Mama started telling the story, and Taya and Wyatt, which is my daughter and her boyfriend, they
Yeah.
literally cut her off and told the story for her. They've heard it so many times. It's just it's her favorite teenage Lori story. But my friend
Oh,
Eric,
so we gotta hear it then. We gotta
yeah.
hear his
So,
favorite
and this is
teenage
bad.
Lori story.
Kids don't drink and don't throw parties, but also don't drink and drive. Is the moral of this? What I want you guys to get out of this. If you're gonna be bad, don't be super bad. But anyway, so
If you're gonna
Mama,
be bad, live through it.
exactly. And don't wind up
Have
in jail.
somebody there making a good decision. Have a what do you call it, Lori? A designated driver,
Mhm.
or you
Or
designate yourself to sleep on the ground. One of the two.
pull a Lori and Erica. So here
Okay.
we wanted to have like a night. We're like, oh, we thought we were cool. And we're like, oh, we want a bottle of vodka or whatever it was. I think it was a bottle of vodka. And when I say bottle of vodka, I mean little, like not like, wasn't like a gallon or a liter. It was just a little thing of it. And Mama said, well, you can drink it as long as you don't leave the property. And we're like, okay, we got this. Well, I wish I had Mama on here to tell the story because it's so much funnier to listen to her tell it. So it's like 2:00 in the morning or something. And she's woken
Okay.
up by the sound of men's voices, young men. But she's like, what? And, we lived so I grew up in a commercial area. It's all bit like literally next to the trailer manufacturing business. My grandparents built their house there because it was getting robbed all the time. The shop was. So they just built their house there to stop the robberies.
Yeah. Wow.
So you can imagine what she was thinking when she heard these voices outside her bedroom window. And so she woke up, and knowing her, I don't know if she did or not, but we had these little pistols. That's a funny story too, I can tell you. But we had these little pistols, and she probably grabbed one of those. I don't know, but she looked out the window, and I would say most of the high school was on our property. We did not leave. We just
Okay.
invited everybody to us. And so we had this, I mean, it was a pretty big party. Everybody brought their own stuff. And of
I
course, my
bet.
mama, whenever she realized what was happening, she's like, she walked out, and Erica and some other girl were walking upstairs to like my bathroom, whatever. And Mama said, Erica, what are y'all doing? And she said, we didn't leave. So Mama made everybody like, and I'm talking, it was a lot of people. You were talking about like just pass out where you lay. She would not let anybody leave. So there were
Was there 100 people there?
Probably somewhere around there. Maybe he's like
I'm
60,
impressed. I'm
60 to
impressed.
80. I don't know. I don't know how we wound up with that. I think you know how high school parties go though, right? Like you invite one person and then they tell 10 and they tell 20 and it's like that kind of like the telephone
They
game,
came over from Target.
right? We didn't have a Target then, but now there's a Target right by Memo's house.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said it wrong. Michael's. That's the parking lot you hung
Michael,
out at.
oh yeah.
Michael's. Yeah. They came over from Michael's.
Honestly, that's probably what happened. And somebody was like, "Hey, we're going over to Lori's," and then like it spread down to Taco Bell and then to Walmart. Everybody just wound up. But
Oh yeah, word of mouth is a good party is a good party. I don't care where
you
it's
know,
at.
yeah. Oh, see, now the stories are like coming, and I'm like, I can probably tell that one. I can probably tell
So
that
did the
one.
cops arrive?
No, where we were at,
No.
see, that leads me
Yeah.
to another funny story. But no, where we were at, I mean, we're literally in a commercial area. So it's not like there was anybody to report us. We were the only people that lived there, and all the businesses were closed.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
in
No
all reality, it was
residential.
like a really safe place for stuff like that. If there's gonna be a safe place.
Right.
But yeah, so and she tells that story way better than I do because she tells it from her point of view, like waking up and hearing these voices, like but
No,
yeah,
that's
that's the kind of
greatness.
stuff that we did. I mean, yes, we drank. Like whatever. I was not a perfect child, but we did it in like safe places like that so that
Yeah.
yeah, and we never got in like real trouble, which is great because most of my high school friends are really successful now, and we would not have been if we were spending high school all in jail. So be good, kids. But oh, see that I was talking about Mema and the voices, and that actually leads me to a really funny story. If you're ready
Okay.
to do the switch, so I wish that
Go
I could give
ahead.
you a perfect visual of where I grew up. But if you imagine this huge manufacturing building, like it's a big shop. Taya's boyfriend calls it the heat shop because he worked in there a couple of summers ago with my mama and helped her with some stuff, and he almost
Oh
died.
wow. It's
Michigan
still
boy, but it's
going.
Michigan. No, it's not. It's just she does like we're hoarders. We're a family of hoarders, and she cannot get rid of it because it was my granddad's stuff.
Okay.
So, but anyway, it's not active anymore, but all the stuff is there.
Okay.
So he was in there working on a trailer or something, getting ready for Taya. But anyway, so we had this huge shop. And back then, we had like the old school alarm system that like plugged in with the shop doors anyway. And it went out. The alarm started going off one night, and it's me and Mema. And I don't know. She was a young Mema, or is a young Mema, but I want to say I was probably like, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there. And the alarm goes off. And of course, I'm a giant wimp. Well, Memo has these little pistols. I don't even know what they are, but they're these tiny little, I mean, like when I tell you they look like something you would see out of like a spy movie, they're super tiny. And so we grabbed these. Now we called the police, and the police asked us to stay in the house. Well, we
Right.
didn't. We're like, no, this is, you know what? I might have been like 16, 17, because I don't think it was long after granddad died. Because we were like,
Okay.
no, this is our property. You're not, whatever. We're going to defend it.
Right.
So the police get there, and Mema and I are like out there with our little pistols, and we told them over the phone like what we were doing. Like we were like Charlie's Angels in it out there, like almost literally.
Yeah.
Like we needed like the Charlie's Angels theme song. Nowadays
Yes.
we would have our
Yes.
cell phones and we could play it, but then we couldn't do that. So when the police got there, they were like, Mama was trying to open the shop door. And the
Yeah.
policeman's like, ma'am, let me get it. And she's like, no, I can get it. And he's like, no, ma'am, let me get it. And she's like, okay,
Okay.
cool. So he pushes and he pushes and he could not get this shop door open. And he's like, oh, it's blocked or something. And she's like, no, it's not. Can I do it now? And he's like, no, ma'am, we'll get it. And so they're like trying to open the door, and Mama just looks at him, and she like props her back up against this big concrete pole and makes it look so effortless and just kicks the door open, and it like slides wide open. The look on these guys' faces, I don't know if they ever really figured out how she did it. They were pulling on the wrong door. That door is the one that was attached to the
Oh,
alarm.
really? That's funny.
And but yeah, so they were pulling on the wrong door. But anyway, it was really funny. And we got chastised for not waiting in the house like we were supposed to. And we're like, well, see, you couldn't even open the door. So,
Right.
but that was back when we were like,
And you're with the cops, and you got your weapons, like you're holding your weapons with the cops,
I mean,
or your weapon.
yeah, we were on a private property. I mean, I don't remember all of that. Maybe I need to ask Memo about that story, but I know she at least had
Yeah.
one. She probably like took mine away before they got there, but she at least had one. And then And they obviously laughed at that because I'm telling you, like, what are you going to do with something that big?
Yeah. I got you.
But
Size does matter. Okay, so your mama sounds pretty like gutsy and like, can hold her own.
oh, 100%. Yeah. She,
Interesting.
up until, so she's in her 80s now. Sorry, Mama. It's true. I love you. But up until very recently, she would literally, so she has rental properties. She would get up and under the rental property, up and under the houses. And I mean, until very, very recently, and work on plumbing. She would get on the roof and like do whatever she needed to do. So yeah, she is my strong and independent woman that helped raise me. So
Wow.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely love that. We had a lot of fun growing up because I learned so much from her. Not to back a
Um,
trailer, but everything
yeah.
else, I learned from her. We had just a lot of fun, and our
Sounds like it. You guys are like a modern day Thelma and Louise in my mind.
ooh, I like that. Now we need to like go on a road trip.
You do. You
Yeah.
do.
When I was in high school, everybody called her Mama, and I was a lot of my friends were in the shop class. Well, they used to do like tours and stuff, or like little field trips.
Yeah.
And Mr. Walker, the shop teacher, wanted to take a field trip to Mama's business because it was still open at that time. And so he
Right.
called and he was like, she's like, "Hi, Strays Manufacturing, whatever." And he was like, "Hi, is this Mama?" And she's like, "Yes." And he's like, "This is Mr. Walker." And she's like, "Well, this is Mrs. Mama." And like I was like, "Oh, that's so funny." And so that became her new nickname, was like Mrs. Mama.
Oh
Um,
wow.
but yeah, she was the one that, oh, I have another funny story. So she was
Okay.
everybody's Mama. And they would do like she would let the field trips and stuff come in. And one of my funniest friends in the whole world, still to this day,
Uh-huh.
his last name is Wald, so we all called him Waldo. But for Mama's birthday one year, this is a two-part story. So me and my friends, we decided we were going to get her this cake. And it was back when it was really cool and probably pretty new to like print a picture on the top of a cake. Right.
Yeah.
So I gave them a picture. And of course, back then it was like an actual printed picture. You couldn't like email it to them or anything. Gave them a
Okay.
picture of a line of trailers that my grandparents had built together. And I'm like, oh, this would be so, so sweet. So when we got the cake, I didn't even have them change it because it was so funny. It was supposed to say "Happy Birthday, Mama." Well, the trailers threw them off, and I guess women aren't allowed to like be into trailers and cars and stuff. So they put "Happy Birthday, Ma Man," like with a space, "Ma Man" and an exclamation point. We left it because it was like, okay, well, it was funny at the time. And then so
No, that is funny.
we had this cake for her. And then my friend Jason, who I need to give you a really good visual. If you're listening to this, Waldo, I love you, but he was like bean skinny, like tall and thin. And
Okay.
I don't know if his hair was still long, but he dressed up as Shaggy from Scooby-Doo for Halloween one year, and it was like you couldn't tell him apart from the cartoon. Like that is the visual that I need you to have, tall and lanky.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so he shows up at Mama's house in, I'm pretty sure, shorts and a suit coat,
Okay.
and like he had like a little hat, like a top hat almost kind of thing, and a rose in his mouth. And we're in Mama's shop. He walks in and does this strip tease. And I mean, like, it was, the dude missed his calling, I think, because it was, I mean, perfect. I'm talking like he like did a handstand and threw his legs over her head and was dancing. Of course, he wasn't naked. Obviously, he was like 18 at the time, but it was hands down like watching her. Have you ever seen someone laugh, like humiliated laugh so bad, but there's nothing they can do about it? In hindsight, it was kind of mean because she couldn't escape. Oh, and there were people there. Like there were her people that worked with her were there to witness
Oh, wow.
the thing. And of course, we like had all our friends show up. And so
Yeah.
you have this tall, skinny, like, I mean, not muscular, but it was, I wish that I could find, we took pictures, but I'm pretty sure she destroyed them because again, back then you had to print the pictures. It wasn't like we had like a digital
Right. No, I
USB
get it.
drive or
I get
something.
it.
But that was kind of the upbringing, or the teenage years I had. Was I had somebody that we could have fun with and be safe. And I had
Yeah. I
friends
like
that
that.
were not afraid to get a little, crazy and embarrass themselves. Although I don't think he was embarrassed, he was into it. He's like, no, this is
Right.
my calling. But
No, that's Lori, that's awesome. So I got to give you a little insight into your life. So I'd mentioned Nikki Sixx. So Nikki Sixx got frustrated living with his mom when he was a kid, and she went off to be, I think, with another dude or something. She was really pretty, because you can imagine, like, Nikki Sixx is a pretty man. His mom
Yeah.
was beautiful. Um, anyway, yes, I can appreciate pretty men, and and I'm heterosexual. But anyway, so he was raised by his grandparents in like Utah, like on a farm, before he left to go to Hollywood to be world famous. And it was around about the same time that you went to live with your Meemaw.
Huh.
And you know, John Lennon uh, was raised by not his grandmother, but he was raised by his aunt. His
Hmm.
wealthy aunt took him in because his mom was kind of a wild child, and he was raised by his aunt, which was kind of like his grandmother. But Jack Nicholson was raised by his grandmother.
Hmm.
That's a little bit different story, but I just kind of wanted to give you, like, there's some world famous
Interesting.
people that kind of have your similar kind of background on
Yeah.
how you were raised, and obviously they turned out extremely well. And I got to tell you, like, you got a Cyndi Lauper vibe. Has anybody ever told you that?
No, I don't
No,
think so,
okay.
but I like
You
that. I
even
think that
said,
is a
like, while we
really
were
good compliment.
talking, while you were talking, you were saying, we were just trying to have fun. You even said that, like, while we were talking. I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. I'm doing Schools Out 80s, and she just wants to have fun. I
Now
like
that
it.
song's gonna be in my head for the rest of the day.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
love it. No, I love that song. It's on my playlist,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay. So I had another question I wanted to ask you. Um, yes. Ever meet any famous people? It's
Oh,
okay if you haven't. I just always
oh,
ask that
no,
question.
I lost you for a second. What was that?
I said, have you ever met any famous people? It doesn't matter, like, if they're actors or singers or whatever. I was just curious.
Yeah. So, excuse me. My 80s and 90s babies will appreciate this. So, Jonathan Taylor Thomas from oh my gosh, Tool Time.
Well, like, it's The Class or something like that. That show,
No, oh my gosh, what? Why can't I think of the name of the show?
Full
It was
Time
Tim the Tool
Taylor.
Man Taylor. What was the?
Oh, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. With what's his name from the Santa Claus movies.
Tim Allen. Yeah. I can't think of it, but
I'll look it up because this will
um,
drive me crazy.
Home
So
Improvement.
yes, Home
Home
Improvement.
Improvement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we used to watch that with our kids.
So back then they would, like, the little teen stars would go to the malls and do their thing. So I met him at the mall. No
Is he
real.
from Arkansas?
No, they would, like, tour all over the place and go to the malls and meet
Oh,
people.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it was a thing back then. I don't know. I don't really get it, but it was.
So
Um,
did he, like, sign something for you or
yeah, I
anything?
think he signed, like, a picture or something. Um, and now my wheels are turning with the famous people that I've met, and I'm like, ooh, can I tell that story? Um, but yeah,
It's
so I
okay. I can edit. If you say anything way too inappropriate, I'll just edit it.
no, well, there's nothing really that bad, but yeah, so I met him. That was like kind of whenever I was a teenager, it was a huge deal. It was like, oh my gosh, because I had a huge
Oh
crush on
yeah,
him.
back in the day for sure. He was a
Yeah.
huge star.
And then so when I was 16, I think my friends and I went to Edge Fest, which actually I think I still have the t-shirt somewhere in my basement. Edge Fest 99. And they had Kid Rock was there. Ooh, this is a interesting story. Kid Rock, Slipknot, like all those. It was a big rock concert, right? Well,
Sounds fun.
Kid Rock was like one of the last people of the day. But Slipknot, and I had no idea what Slipknot was. If anybody doesn't know
Yeah.
what Slipknot was, they literally threw surgical scissors into the mosh pit during their concert. Like, they are hardcore, like,
That's
terrifying. I
amazing they
didn't know
could do
this, and
that.
my friend Erica and I somehow got, like, in the mosh pit, and we're panicking. I mean, tiny little teenage girls. We're like, ah! And
Yeah, of
all of a
course.
sudden, this big dude, like huge guy, just grabs us and throws us out of the mosh pit. And we're like, oh, thank God. Because I mean, they're like literally like throwing things around, like sharp objects in this. So once we got over the fear of that, and that they probably took us a while to recuperate and maybe like
Yeah.
an adult beverage or something or two to
Right,
get past
right.
that. But then Kid Rock, it was about time for him to go up, and that's why we were all there, because I wanted to see Kid Rock, and everybody's like,
I'm
"Yep,
a big
let's
fan
go."
of Kid Rock.
I still am to this day. I love him.
Me
Um,
too.
but so I had it in my head, 16-year-old delusional girl. I'm like, I'm gonna meet Kid Rock. I didn't have backstage passes. It was almost like festival Woodstock kind of style where it was all
Yeah, yeah,
outdoor or whatever. Well, so we
sure.
saw where his like security team was. And so we went over, and of course, stupid teenage Lori. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go flirt with the security team and they're gonna let me meet Kid Rock. And so
That's
we
the
go
way it
over,
works, Lori.
yeah, no. You wind up with
No.
like a bra signed by some nobody security guard. Um and anyway, so yeah, I went up and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, you can meet him." And I'm like, "Oh, yay." Stupid delusional girl. Super cool. So I'm flirting with these security guys. Of course, I never did get to meet him. Um,
Oh,
but I did get to see oh my gosh, I cannot remember the little person that used to travel with him.
oh, I don't know.
Yeah, he had like the little person that traveled with him and sang with him and stuff. And we I don't remember his name, but we did get to
That's
meet him.
okay.
But yeah, so instead I got like my bra strap signed by some security guard and still didn't get to meet Kid Rock, but we did get to see him and it was a great concert and we were all happy and worn out afterwards. But
I like it.
so who else have I met? Nicolas Cage. Now this is not in high school. This was when I was working for a hotel chain. But Nicolas Cage, we met him. Believe it or not, absolute bleh, just not nice.
Was he a jerk?
He was a total jerk. Yeah, I was trying to think of a nice way to say it, and so jerk is a good nice way to say it. Yeah,
No,
he was a
I
jerk.
like stories like that. That's
Yeah.
okay. Because
He was
he's being
he was
real with you.
disrespectful and just not the nicest guy. And
Yeah.
then Three Doors Down. I met a lot of people when I worked at the hotel. The band Three Doors Down.
Yeah.
So they came in and they gave backstage passes or not backstage passes, excuse me, concert tickets to our hotel, our front office
Right.
manager, and said, give them to any of your staff that that want to come. Well, they gave them to us. Well, then they trashed the hotel room. I mean, like trash this
Oh,
hotel room,
wow.
and like broke the painting, the artwork on the wall. Just it was really bad. And so
Yeah.
they took our tickets back because they were supposed to be at will call. So
Yeah.
they literally took the tickets back that they had given because the hotel was charging them for the damage to the room. I still don't know how we still went to the concert. I guess somebody else got his tickets, or maybe we just bought tickets at that point. But yeah, they trashed the hotel room. And who else, man? I met a lot of really interesting people there.
Now, you know what? I think we've really come across something that in life you have what's called a golden nugget. And it's like when you have something happen in your life that's like so wonderful, you could write a book about. And here's how I see the theme. And you let me know if this sounds appropriate or inappropriate. But I think you could write a book on like how not to get backstage at a famous concert and meet a famous
Right?
person, and how not to lose your virginity. Like, that could be very powerful, like the things not to do or the things to do to not to make this happen. Like I think there's something there, like, how not to be used by the road crew of a band.
Yeah.
I think there's like a public service announcement pamphlet you could put together, like could
Um,
be handed out at the concerts too, like girls coming in like, hey, how not to get laid. No, I'm kidding.
no. Okay. So you're onto something. When I
I
worked,
am. I'm
when
telling
I,
you, this
when I
is like
worked,
the aha moment that you
yeah,
have in like
that'll be my next
coaching or
book.
whatever. I'm like, oh my God, Lori, we've just found something that like could benefit the world.
So when Too Short, Too Short, like super vulgar, nasty, nasty, nasty rap music that at the time I thought was like so cool and I could rap most of it.
The bomb.
He came in and somebody, I don't even remember who it was. Somebody I was working the front desk with was like, "Oh, I bet you can't get him to flirt with you, whatever." Well, I think so. He was at like the hotel restaurant and I sent over like a bottle of champagne. I was in leadership at that point and I was able to, do things. So I like sent over a bottle of champagne or something to his table at the hotel. Well, anyway, he came over and started like rapping. This is no joke. I'm going to teenageify this just a little bit, but
All
he
good.
came over and was rapping a song that has the name Betty in it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bad, bad, bad song. But anyway, and so literally then so you're right, I could totally write a book on how not to make dumb choices. So he actually invited me to his room. And I'm like, I did not go. I'm so proud of myself that I did not go because I'm like, oh no, I just wanted you to flirt with me. I don't want all that. But
Yeah.
yeah, so he came and like literally rapped at me, which I don't know how it didn't get me fired because it was a nice hotel. It wasn't like a trashy hotel. So
Right.
he's at the front desk singing these like this vulgar song. But yeah, now I know more about him and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that I did not make a dumb choice because
Good for you.
he's probably been with like 10,000 little front desk girls or groupies or whatever.
Oh, that's an awesome story.
But you're right.
So,
Yeah, that's gonna be my next book. How not to get like STDs from musicians or their
there
road crew.
you go. There you go. You just never know. Like my friend Dave always says, John, you get people in some type of a situation, and at some point you find that aha moment, and that aha moment can benefit people.
Yeah.
Uh, no, that's awesome. Okay. So yeah, I've never been successful. I've been backstage at rock concerts before, and I've met famous people at rock concerts before, but I've never been successful at getting laid backstage. So, I could co-author.
Yeah, we could write a book together on how not to.
Yes. Yeah. How not to like really get involved with famous people. Um, no, that would be good. Okay, so this is the time in the show, Lori, where you get to promote anything really. If you want to promote your youth group, I know you have businesses that you're involved in. You have your own podcast. Okay, go ahead.
That's why I keep that there because so many times I've been on podcasts and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, do you have a copy of your book?" And I'm like, "Yeah, out there." Yeah, so I have my own podcast. It's Lori Jewett Unscripted. I've had a
Yes.
lot of guests. One of my most recent, I think it's been like a month or so when you were on, John. That was a great episode. I've gotten a lot of good feedback about that one.
Oh, good.
I just have fun conversations with people and we kind of talk about deficits that we're able to use as superpowers. Like mine is my ADD. I literally wrote a book about my life with ADHD. Which honestly, this book started out as when I decided I was going to write a book, it was going to be all of the dumb ADHD things that have happened. We could totally do like, it would take me a little while to write all my dumb things down. We could totally do an episode about that, all the crazy things I've done because of ADHD. But anyway, it wound up actually being a really completely different. It's ways that I was able to kind of use that to make an impact. I
Yeah.
used the mistakes that I made as a teenager to run the youth group. Whenever I first started, the youth group, I told my pastor, I'm like, I've only been back in church for like, I don't know, it felt like 5 minutes at that time. And he's like, yeah, but they need somebody real. They need somebody that's made the mistakes that they can, that's not just this perfect, was born a Christian and never made a mistake in their entire life. They need somebody
Right,
real. And I'm like,
right.
oh, I'm real. Okay. Check on that. But so that's basically the premise of the book was
Yeah.
all the different things that have happened in my life, from childhood to adulthood and business and everything else. And it's written very comedically. There's even like my thought bubbles. I literally wrote like an ADHD person. So like my thoughts that I thought of that my editor took out, we put
Yeah.
it in thought bubbles throughout the book. So
Awesome.
it's
Good for you.
it's fun, but yeah, it's on Amazon. And I'm working on I have my second book. I don't know if you can call it a book. It's a coloring book / journal.
Uh-huh.
And I'm working on 3 more of those because I want to have one for each quarter of the year. So
Awesome.
all on
That is
Amazon. You
awesome.
search my name and those and my podcast will pop up.
Well, it seems like that'd be really powerful because, parents might have children with ADD or ADHD, and I'm a parent that has a child with ADD and ADHD, and honestly, there wasn't really a manual on how to handle that. So, like, I just kind of made it up as I went. My wife's at least an educator, but I think a lot of people could find value in like understanding how people think, because then we could better understand like how to treat people based upon their actions, better understanding like how they think. Like all of us need to be like more aware of each other, because it's kind of a lost, I think everybody is just like a solo artist out there. And it's just not good for society. So we need to all be like more, I'd say, understanding of others.
Yeah.
Um,
And learn
you
from each
know,
other too.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'll go ahead and promote what I do.
I am John the Sales Warrior Sansoni. I've been professionally selling successfully for 34 years. What can I teach you? How to prospect, present, follow up, and most importantly, how to close. I have a 3-day masterclass that includes inspiration, motivation, and the mental tools to succeed in business and sales. My course includes worksheets, audio, video, and can be taken in 30 action blocks. Also included, how to have greater confidence. My course should be 400. If you get it today, $29.95. And included my book for free. Once purchased, you'll get free monthly inspiration from me. Just go to saleswarriorinspire.com and order yours today. That's it. Back to the show.
John, that sounds wonderful. Anyone in sales or anything like that would be crazy not to take advantage of that offer.
Lori, thanks a lot. I'm just really trying to give back to the world at large, because I just feel like there needs to be some wisdom out there in the sales warrior, because so many people are winging it. And I feel like there's a lot of misinformation too. Like, yeah, I'll say it. Jeremy Minor, I've been listening to his stuff, and he would fail miserably in the type of like multi-million-dollar deals I close, because they would laugh him out of the room. And I'll just say it. Like, and he makes a lot of money telling people how to sell, and he's not a good salesperson. And that's a sad thing in the
Yeah, it
world.
is.
A really sad thing, because if he was really good, he wouldn't need to, like, I don't know. Anyway, I'll just be quiet. I get on my soapbox about this stuff, but wow, wonderful, Lori, to have you on the show. I mean, you are funny. And your Cyndi Lauper thing, man. People that grew up in the 80s like me, like you got that Cyndi Lauper vibe, quirkiness, or whatever you want to call it, uniqueness. That's kind of cool, because I have a lot of people on my podcast, and I can't think of one that had a Cyndi Lauper vibe. And I've had a lot of like, I've been doing this 4 years, so lots of opportunity.
Yeah, well, if we do this again or next time we talk at all, I'm totally gonna like get my headband and my neon outfit out and leg warmers.
Yeah, all good.
I
We
actually
can
have
do
a
it
Cyndi
again.
Lauper outfit that I got for an 80s themed party. So
There you go. We can definitely do it again. So uh, it'll give you time, like in the next few months or whatever, to think of some other stuff that like comes, because it's hard, like putting somebody on the spot about what, something funny in high school, something funny in middle school. It can be kind of difficult. But hey, something else I was going to ask you. So you might or might not know this, but so I asked Kristen Knievel to come on my show. Do you know who that is?
Evil Knievel's. I saw your post about it. Is it his daughter?
No.
No. No, I don't know who
No.
that is.
Yeah, all good, all good. Okay, so you got Evil Knievel,
Yep.
which his actual real name is Robert Craig Knievel. Yes, I am that geeky. And he had a son. He had two sons. One son's name, I think, is Kelly, and his other son's name was Robert Craig Knievel the second, or Junior, or whatever. And he went by Captain Robbie Knievel, and he actually completed more jumps successfully than Evil Knievel. Back in the day, Fox Network, they used to carry him, and I think whatever that, like one of the cable networks that showed a lot of like crazy sports stuff. would carry him. And back in the day, he made a lot of money and was kind of like super successful. And God love him. I think he passed away last year. It's really sad. I got a chance to visit the Evel Knievel Museum, and anybody that ever gets a chance, like, how cool is that? Got to touch all, you weren't supposed to, but like, I'm not a rule follower. I got to touch the Sky Cycle. I got to touch all the major motorcycles that like he either, you know, made the jump or missed the jump, but I got to touch all the cycles, and I don't know. But anyway, the reason I bring it up is because I'd love for you to like personally invite Kristen. So Kristen is the daughter of Captain Robbie Knievel. And so here's a little interesting tidbit. I think she sang like the national anthem, and she was a little girl. She sang the national anthem perfectly right before her dad successfully, I kid you not, this is a true story. You can see it on YouTube, you and your husband this weekend. He successfully jumped like the shortest part of the Grand Canyon.
Oh, wow.
Like, I think he broke his leg or broke his arm or whatever, but it's the most amazing thing you ever saw in your life. Like, he successfully jumped the Grand Canyon, and she sang, it was either America the Beautiful or the national anthem in tune, in pitch correctly. And now she has her own band. I think it's like the Daredevil band, you know, Bring Back the Legend. I don't know. See, I'm a child of the 70s. Evel Knievel was really big in the 70s. When I was a kid, we'd be in middle school. We'd be talking about the next jump. Like,
Oh, wow.
like you'd be talking about the Tyson fight. We'd be talking about, hey, man, come over to my house and spend the night. Because in the jump, like, it took 5 seconds to happen. Like, it was, you know what I'm saying? It was like, but we were just like, you know, he's a modern day superhero. And then getting to see her dad do all those jumps too. I've watched them all. It's pretty wild. But if you want to invite Kristen Knievel to come on my show, I just want to have her like have a, you know, a video invite from somebody that's had fun on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I will. I'll find her and figure out how to do that. Absolutely.
No, just invite her right here, because I'll clip it and I'll send it to her.
Oh, cool. Okay.
See, I make it easy, Lori.
Yeah, you do. I'm trying to figure out how to find her and all.
No, you're good.
Kristen, we know you have a lot of fun stories from your family and the way you grew up. You should absolutely come on the show and share some of your great stories. And I can't wait to listen.
Awesome. I can't wait to listen too, Lori. You know, it's all about the laws of attraction. I don't want to be like my geeky motivational self, but it's the magnet that draws things into existence, right? Like, I got to be honest, I sold no courses, like very little courses, regardless of my background, until I started speaking it into existence. And now I get emails and I'm like, wow, boom, 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 boom. People are buying my course. I feel like I got a little rental house going here, and I literally don't have to do anything. It's a beautiful thing.
I love it. I agree.
Awesome.
My goal is to get Amy Poehler on my podcast, because everyone.
Oh, that would be awesome. Well, I'm a fan.
I've always gotten that. Right now, I don't feel like I got to fix my hair or do my hair, cut my hair or something.
You got an Amy Poehler vibe going too, I think.
Yeah, so I actually dressed up as her for Halloween in 2021, I think. And it was like, I mean, perfect. Yeah, so I get it. Speaking of, and you know what? This is great, because I haven't talked about that goal very often in the last like year, really. So I need to get back to speaking that one into existence.
Absolutely, you do. And you know what you do? You write it down and you say it like first. A lot of people don't know this, but the first 5 minutes that you wake up every morning, that's your best chance to bring things into existence, because you're not quite into reality yet. And it's your best chance to really believe whatever you read, because there's not that doubtful voice coming back to you, you know, like, I'm going to be a multi-millionaire. Well, the first 5 minutes of the day, that's easier to say than, you know, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon after you've had a bunch of sales rejection. You know what I'm saying? So
that makes total sense.
Yeah, it's like you're in La La Land. It's almost like you're not in reality, and you're not in reality. I don't know how to say it, but I recently came across this data. Made a lot of sense to me because you're kind of drowsy when you wake up, and you're like, sometimes you're like, where the hell am I?
I have those mornings too. Yeah, I get that. I understand exactly the zone that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like you're in the twilight zone. You're not really in reality. You're kind of in reality. You're like, you know who you are, but you're not really quite like many times I wake up and I'm like, is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? Oh my God, is it Saturday? Like what the hell day is it? Okay. So I don't know if you want to use your Cyndi Lauper voice, or if you want to use your Amy Poehler voice, or if you want to use your Lori Jewett voice. But Lori, wonderful having you on School's Out 80s Comedy Storytime. It's the time of the show where we say goodbye to everybody. So Lori Jewett, coming to us all the way from Grand Rapids, Michigan, say goodbye to everybody at School's Out 80s.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank y'all for listening. Have a great week.
So wonderful to have you on. And from Dallas, Texas, John the Sales Warrior. Cheers, everybody.